Mike, Disney's got a boy problem. Disney Studios is seeking an original intellectual property to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel and Lucasfilm ticket struggles. But the problem runs deeper than missing ticket sales. For decades, fathers, uncles, and older brothers didn't just pass down characters like Spider-Man, Luke Skywalker, and Iron Man. They shared the origin stories that gave those heroes meaning. The issue is what's on the screen now. Mike, if the modern storylines no longer carry the same values as the classics, is Disney alienating the very audience it's trying to win back? And can a new intellectual property fix that?
Are you asking me if Disney or the entertainment industry can fix the human being in America?
To put it in a nutshell, I'm basically saying they lost boys, and they're trying to do some scientific shit by getting a new intellectual property.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I think we've lost the people altogether. I don't think it's I'm not sure it's the entertainment industry that's the problem. I think it's the generation is the problem.
So are you saying that no matter what kind of new Marvel comic book or whatever comes out, this generation's just not with that? They're not into this?
I don't think they're with that. I think fundamentally that we have society has shifted in such a way that I'm going to say that, like, so what you're talking about, like old school, like let's go back to like when we were growing up, right? So we had like Spider-Man, and you had DC Comics, and you had what do you call it? The other guys,
Marvel, DC,
Marvel, and then you had them, competing, and you had all these superheroes, and like you said, there were origin stories. How did Spider-Man become Spider-Man? Well, he got bitten by a spider and got superpowers that was, whatever, injected with radiation or whatever that story was with that. And Superman obviously was basically an alien, came from another planet. And Iron Man was more of I liked Iron Man because I felt like he was a little bit more real, because it was he made him into himself kind of that way. And anyways, so there was origin stories behind all of these things. But remember, we're talking about a time where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have internet, we didn't have social media, we didn't have all this stuff going on. So we could be more immersed, I think, in the fantasy of the storyline. And now I think that our society has shifted into a situation where, first of all, we like 15-minute snippets, right? We go on TikTok, and God forbid the thing you're watching is any longer than 15 or 20 seconds. So I think our whole, I'm old school, right? So I still read books. I don't know that generationally, these younger generations that Disney is looking at trying to win back, I don't know that they're doing that. I think they're playing video games, and their storyline is coming through. Like, I've been watching on television. I've been watching that TV show that was based on a video game. And I'm drawing a total space blank here, what it was, or what the name of it is. But the longest, it's an apocalyptic storyline. But it's following the video game. And see, from when I first started watching The Last of Us, and when I first started watching the show, it almost confused me. Now, this is probably dating myself, but it almost confused me that a movie series is following a storyline in a game, because see, that's counterintuitive to me. For me, the definition of a game is something where we don't know what the outcome's going to be, right? That we're going to try to win. I'm going to play you, and one of us is going to win the game. But games nowadays, the modern games, have storylines that they follow, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. So I think that, like, Disney trying to win them back with old school you know, style of storyline is never going to work, right? I mean, maybe they could come out with another. You know, maybe Disney should develop video games because that's the storyline. Come up with new characters in a game.
So
does this make any sense? I mean,
it makes a lot of sense. And in general, I agree with your premise, but I don't think that they've just totally moved on from the idea of comic book characters brought to screen. They are not enjoying how they're being presented to them.
yes. And that's more of a social statement, though.
Right. So for one thing, okay, women never really watched these type of shows.
No.
So this was for boys, just like the Barbie movie was for girls.
Correct.
And they literally said they were looking to get rid of those watchers for women.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't make women like movies that they don't like. So that's the problem.
Yep.
And the content necessary to keep the boys watching it is not there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I differ. I believe if they went back to old school toxic masculinity, men would be going to the movies. There's been not.
Well, Phil, you bring up a good point here. And I think this is maybe one of the problems with our current culture. Not everybody wants to see the same thing. And I think that's what's happened is that they've morphed into a production scenario where they're trying to put out, say, a movie and appease everybody. And like you said, that's just not natural. You know, I don't necessarily want to go see Barbie, as you know, and I have plenty of women friends that they're not really interested in what Iron Man's doing.
Right.
So But
here's the thing. There has to be no compromise when it comes to artistry and writing. So with what you just said, keep Barbie written just how it should be for women and keep Iron Man just how it should be for men. And you know what happens? I end up going on a date with my wife to watch Barbie. So you still get the tickets, and I end up taking my wife to go see Iron Man.
I mean, I watched Barbie because Margot Robbie was in it.
But you getting my premise? If you actually entertain me or her, one of us is going to drag the other in.
Exactly.
But when it's a compromise, neither one of us is really interested.
Yeah, nobody's interested in it. That's right. So, nobody's interested in that.
And that's the whole ideology, it seems, of this modern generation is compromise before everything.
I mean, look, Disney's had its head up its ass for 10 years now, at least.
Mm-hmm.